Greetings, everyone. This is Dayhawk, your favorite Daedric Prince, bringing to you episodes 19 and 20 of Shaman King 01 and episode 9 of Shaman King 2021. Well, everyone, it's here. The final matchup between Ren and Yo. So, let's get on with it, shall we? Let's get on with the show. Episode 19 starts with Silva and Karim fighting over food and Karim being a freeloader and all that, until they had, in the middle of the argument, the Great Chief pops up in the television. And the Great Chief pretty much talks with Silva how he needs to remain impartial. I understand that he favors Yo because he has great potential and all that, he states, but he needs to remain impartial. And while she was munching on this beef steak, and you could see them both just stares at the Great Chief eating the steak, and it just, to me, I find it to be such a low blow, because Jesus Christ, when you have only one fish, and it's not a big fish, it's just a tiny looking fish that's like, it looks like a damn anchovy or something, but it's a little bit longer than an anchovy, but it's just a tiny looking fish and only just one, and it's just, I find it to be so wrong. And the scene ends while the Great Chief was mentioning, well, I will watch the match while I'm having beefsteak. You know, she will watch the match, the next match. Plus, meanwhile, I'll continue eating the steak during breakfast. And they both shouted out that you get to eat steak during breakfast. What the hell? Oh God! And it leads into Anna asking Yo to go to the store to prepare dinner, and you have Tamo. Sorry if I butchered her name, but Jesus Christ, I'm sorry. I think I misspelled her name here, but the apprentice comes to Yo's and Anna's house, and while Yo and goes to the store, the girls have the discussion, and Tamo was feeling concerned, but of course Anna's like, I have faith in Yo. He will win this match. If not, I will kill him. She didn't really say that, but I know Yo's in the back of his mind is like, I have to win this match. If not, Anna's gonna kill me for real. So in the beginning of the episode, you get to see everybody living out their lives, of course with concern because they know of Ren and all that. Meanwhile, speaking of him, he's exercising, getting ready for his match with Yo. And then leading into the next day, Yo leaves the house to go to the battlefield with Manta, and then they wait until sunset, and then here comes Ren and his entrance. You know, he likes to make an entrance. You see him with his giant ass cape and with his horse, and already he's already annoyed with Yo, because here you have Ren being all serious while you have Yo being all carefree and not being serious. It just annoys him. And so now the match is started, and already Ren is already with his power attacks on Yo, and all Yo does is pretty much defends himself until he sees an opening to strike. And Taoren ends up pouring more of his Furyoku into his spear, which you could see Bazan's upper body into the spear, so it looks like if he fused between a fusion between his spear and Bison, and he ends up, and as a giant, you could see Bison like trying to punch Yo, and all that stuff. Like he's a giant, um, and you could see Yo getting worn out, but he ends up turning the tide by piercing Bison's crystal on his chest and destroys his oversoul. And of course, with his disbelief, he goes on an attack spree on him. So it's pretty much what Yo was with Faust. When he gets all angry, he overuses his Furyoku, and he tries to attack Faust with everything he's got. Everything is flipped now. Only Taoren is being all angry and frustrated, while Yo is being all calm. So Yo gets to destroy his oversoul twice, and then of course Ren was like, "How in the hell did you destroy my oversoul twice? Like, can you explain?" And Yo was like, "I didn't," because he says he didn't, and you managed to destroy my oversoul 5 times, and you didn't realize it. You didn't realize it at all. And Ren got overconfident of his power, but he ends up getting outsmarted. And into the final scene of episode 19, you get to see June and Ren's dad for the first time, and she is discussing with her father, pleading to him that to release her brother from his burden, and explaining to him that he's a grieving child. He saw things that a young child shouldn't, and because of that, amongst other things, he turned into this young man who hates everything. He hates life. Ultimately he wants to destroy everything because of his trauma, his experiences, and just he's grieving in a way. And at the very end, June was telling her father that he will ultimately lose. Which ends episode 19. Now episode 20 is a continuation of that. You get to see Ren, the stress, and he remembers. He starts to remember, and as a young kid, like asking these questions like, why are you killing other people? What is going on? And gets tormented by it. In the meantime, the head of the Tao clan asks June, like, why would Ren lose? And the answer was pretty much because his rival was Asakura Yo. And ultimately, the dad just ends up summoning the zombie horde and tries to capture her own daughter, and managed to knock her out, knocked her guardian ghost, and just gets taken away. And then in the final stages of the fight, Yo proposes a face-off, a one final showdown. And of course, Tao Ren was, why would I need to do that, blah 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 blah, but he ultimately agrees, and you get to see Yo pouring his last remaining Furoku onto his sword, where you get to see Amidamaru and his upper body the same way as Tao Ren and Bison did in the other episode. And with one final strike, they both end up running out of Furoku. But before that, before they discover they ran out, Tao Ren gives the speech that the moment he saw Yo, he knew that he was going to lose, and he starts to compare him with the wind, and declares Yo the winner. And everything was so serious up to the point where Yo gets all panicked and tells Yo, "Hey, I ran out of Fuyoku too. Can you help me out because Anna's gonna kick my ass?" And Tao Ren was like, "What the hell? It's like I gave you this huge speech declaring you the winner, but you ran out of Fuyoku just like I did. So what the hell?" And so right in the middle of this argument and fighting, because you get to see Ren using his pointy hair attacking Yo, and it's pretty funny. Oh my god. Silva appears and declares that they both passed. It's a draw. You ran out of Fuyoku at the same time. Therefore, by the grace of the Great Spirit, you both passed. And after that, the Yo just like, "Hey, you want to come over to my house and celebrate?" And Ren was like, "Why do I need to go to your house? Like, why would I do that?" And of course, Yo was like, "Come on, let's go home. But first, can you, let's go together and go to the store and all that." And it breaks. Well, why should I do that? So it's funny. It's really, really funny. And it leads to them celebrating, and that everybody is officially part of the Shaman tournament. Everything is passed, and they get to celebrate. And then Horo and Ren meet for the first time, and already they're picking a fight, and it's playful fight, and Manta and Yo try to hold them back up until you get to see Ren grabbing Yo's feet and just does the Cesaro spin, going around and around. In the meantime, you get to see Bison and Amidamaru talking to each other, and that moment was really cool because you get to see Bison finally open up and say, "I'm so happy for my master. He finally has some friends. He's finally happy." And I thought it was so cool, for me, in my opinion, it was so cool. And then you get to see them together in the hot spring. But before, of course, you get to see them all naked, and Ren was like, "Why would I join in the hot spring? I don't want to go." And then all three of them, Manta, Horo, and Yo, was like giving the evil eye to each other, and like, and then it's like, and then Ren was like, oh shit, and then no, and then they managed to strip him naked and throw him in the hot spring. And then you get to see all the boys, all the ghosts, just sitting there in the spring, relaxing. And towards the end of the episode, Ren leaves and goes back to China because now, with a change of heart, and decides to confront his father, and and just deal with him, because to Ren, his father is the source of his hatred, and with him change, it's time to confront him. It's time to confront him, and but ultimately, it ends. It ends where Ren arrives home in China, but ends up meeting his father, and that's the end. Heading into the final scene where you get to see um, Horo, everybody eating breakfast, but ends up getting this bad feeling, like a sixth sense, like something happened, and Yo immediately says Ren, and then leads into Bazan pleading to Yo that please, Ren is in trouble, can you help him please? And that's where the episode ends there. Now, episode 9, it's going to be shorter because for the most part everything is the same for the in the most part. Here in the opening in episode 9, you get to see Tao Jun and her dad in China, and this is where he gets his side of the story, and he says that the Tao family used to rule China, and they had mastery over magic and shamanism, and brought up an age of peace until, I'm not sure if it was the people that turned against them or the government, but they were betrayed and they were banished to the southern mountains where they live right now. And all they want is revenge now. And 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 tries to send her daughter to stop anybody from getting into Ren's way, into becoming Shaman King and all that. And a side note, rest in peace, Mr. Panda. Rest in peace, Mr. Panda. It leads into Silva and Karim just talking, and everything between them and the Great Chief remains the same, minus the bickering and the fish being all tiny and the beef steak. It's all about the conversation was about, Silva, I understand, but you have to remain impartial. And he was now in charge of Tao Ren. He's in charge of overseeing Tao Ren, and that's it on that. It gets skipped to Yo and Manta waiting for Ren, while Tamao and Anna were in the house. So everything is the same after that. Ren makes his entrance, and except in this version, Yo was talking to Ren to the point where Bazan appears out of nowhere and attacks Yo, and Amidamaru defends him quickly. So the battle remains unchanged. Everything is the same. But in the middle of the fight, Manta decides to go find Anna because he thought that Anna could help Yo in the situation that he's in. And because of that, Yo gets distracted and gets thrown to a tombstone. So that part changed, that was never appeared in the original. So Manta at this point is gone, trying to go back home, talk to Anna. Hey, can you talk, Anna? We're in this situation. Can you please help? And so the battle remains unchanged. He punctures the crystal. Um, so during the battle, we get into this scene where um, Horo, Faust, and the other people who passed their matches, who were qualified for the Shaman tournament, watches the fight, and and then in while they are watching the match, June and her father are having the same discussion, while Yo and Ren have their final stand. In this version, though, the father does not take her away in the dungeons. Everything, she doesn't get knocked out or anything. Everything is fine. And then up until the end, Yo panics because Anna's gonna kill him. Ren gets upset and they argue between each other. And then Silva appears. But this version, instead of Silva declaring both of them the winners, you have the Great Chief and all the rest of the members of the patch declaring that Yo and Ren, they both passed, and that's the end of that. Overall, Shaman King 01 takes the victory based on what I just said, because Ren changed and Yo openly invites him into his house to have dinner and introducing him to Horo and everybody else in the house, and you get to see Horo teasing Ren a little bit, and then leads into this mini argument, into an almost fight, which of course Yo and Manta tries to stop, and you get to see Amidamaru and Baizon talking, and Baizon finally feels happy for his master, seeing his master so happy, almost into tears. And you get to see in the next scene Ren, at first didn't want to go to the hot springs with everyone else, but the Horo, Manta, and Yo pretty much strips him naked and dumps him in the water. And at the end, you get to see everybody relaxing in the springs, and then towards the end, you get to see Ren having the courage and determination to go back home, back to China, and face his dad. And yeah, I mean, I find it to be really a great character development for Ren. You want to root for him now. Um, um, and during the train back home, he admits that this person helped change his life, and that's when he will confront his dad and hopefully ends that dark chapter of his life, and it will lead to the rescue mission and all that. And the reboot, it's pretty much all about the battle. It was all about the battle, and sure, you at the end you get to see a little bit of Ren now, but you don't get the chance to see him interact with the other characters, because it hasn't been established yet. Unlike 01, where you see that scene, and I think, in my opinion, that's where the reboot suffers because the it just Horho just shows up and you see him later on in this episode. Ryu wants to become a sushi chef, but now he has an interest in being a shaman. I mean, I don't want to have a rant. Not again. I will rant towards the very end of the series. I will do that instead. But yeah, yeah, I enjoyed 01 better than 2021, you know. But that's the beauty of it, because uh I get the chance to watch 01 and 2021 back to back and see what was changed, what remains the same, and I could make a judgment on that. Of course, people might say, well, you already said that you prefer the original and the reboot. Sure, I did, but at least I have reasons to why this, and this. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I'm not saying that the reboot is all bad. It's just I feel that they stripped most of the stuff that made Shaman King 01, sorry, Shaman King 01 so special. What makes it special, and it made me appreciate the original so much more. But that's just me. Now, in terms of episode 10 and episode 21, I may have to do two videos because you have Yo and the gang going to China rescuing Ren, while in the other you have an episode dedicated to Ryu and the opening ceremonies. So yeah, it went to different directions now, and I don't know where in the reboot where Ren decides to confront his dad. Maybe in episode 11 or 12, but I don't know. I honestly don't know what it goes from here, but all I know is that I'll probably have to do 2 episodes. Well, I think that's it for now. Unless I missed anything, or you want to just comment of the episode itself, feel free to write on the comments down below and leave a like. And I will see you on next week. Yeah, next week for episodes 21 and 10. And until then, until our next meeting, this is Dayhawk, and take care of yourselves, all right? Johnny!